Let us take a look at the ongoing trade war launched by the US against the rest of the world. If you have been looking at social media, current news, you have seen people talking about tariffs, talking about bans, talking about trade tensions. Now, first things first, in my opinion, this is a trade war between the US against China. And here is my reason why. Let us talk about a bit of history. Back in 2018, this is a very significant year in the history of China because it reached its peak as an economic power, becoming the world's largest exporter and a global manufacturer. This is to tell you that back in 2018, it was already late to launch a trade war against China. That war actually started escalating around that period. Now, you have to keep in mind that the USA is the first largest economy in the world, China being the second largest economy in the world. So US somewhere number one, China number two, according to the books, right? But we have been seeing how China's economy has been growing rapidly. It started back in the 1970s, escalated when China joined the WTO back in 2001, and then by 2018, China had reached its peak. That is something that we must keep in mind. When we look at this scenario, we realize that while the US is launching this war against China and the rest of the world becoming casualties, the US is not only losing an economic battle, it's also losing its credibility. The US is losing long-standing trade alliance. We are looking also at the frustration of the EU, right? The global south is diversifying. I'm talking about Africa. Africa is starting to look at other places to sell its goods and its products, and so is the rest of the world. What about China? China continues to grow. China continues to dominate the supply chains as well as expanding its influence. We recently had a conversation between a journalist and the foreign minister of China, who was asked, in this trade war, China is most likely to lose the American markets that contributes up to 15% of its export market. And his response was, we don't care. They have learned to survive without the USA. They have done that for over 5,000 years, and they will do that, and attributing that to self-reliance. That is to tell you that China has figured other ways to be able to export its goods and services to other than the USA. Maybe the timing is not right for the US in this battle. The second aspect that I want to talk about is the blind spot. Blind spot in the sense that the tariffs are imposed on manufactured goods or physical products, ignoring services and software. There are so many platforms that over the years China has been able to build up. Platforms that China has been able to silently build up. We're talking about platforms like TikTok, Alibaba, as well as developing fintech infrastructure across Asia and Africa. So China was able to diversify in that way, diversification of exports. We talked about the physical ones, and I'm talking about diversification in terms of adding services and software. So this battle really is a bit imbalanced, or this whole tariff thing is a bit imbalanced because there are other things that China is exporting to the rest of the world. Let us look at the third and the final thing, which has been making headlines everywhere in my social media, right? The backfire, the Chinese manufacturers exposing American brands. I want to believe you came across this twist of events where we see the manufacturers, the same ones actually who American companies rely on, are now pulling the curtains back, showing us who really got the power. From rebranding similar tech to relaunching their own luxurious products, they are showing us the premium American product that we know is actually made in China. And this is actually a very interesting perspective for me and a lot of people, because For so many years, people believe that things that are made in China are fake, but things that are made in America are luxury. When you think of America, you think luxury, you think good things, you think exotic, you admire that. But now, with the pulling of curtains by the manufacturer, we get to see that the Chinese are not copycats as we have known them for so many, but China is the real power. They are innovative and then shifting brand loyalty through this action. So those are the three things that we see. But in conclusion, I would say that the US had an agenda, a very straightforward agenda, national interest. The idea was to protect the American economy, but in this process, the US is isolating itself, it's miscalculating the future of trade, and waking up to a world where China is no longer the factory, is the force, right? Is the power. I hope that we have been able to see that through the news, through social media, and the debates are ongoing. I want to know what your thoughts are. And let me know if you want me to continue making videos like this. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. See you again. Bye bye.